Hello, everyone, and welcome to the IPFS and Filecoin 101 workshop. Joining us today is Jenks, who will be taking us through this session. And with that, I'll pass it over to Jenks to get the session started.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jenks, your friendly developer advocate from Filecoin Foundation. Today, I'm going to give you an introductory talk on IPFS and Filecoin 101. This will be acting as a vocabulary for your rest of the workshops. This will be the workshop to introduce all of the workshops for the rest of this hackathon. So let's get started, and also welcome to HackFS. So at first, I'll talk a little bit about introduction to Web3. Then I'll move on to IPFS and how IPFS solves some pieces of puzzles for Web3. And equally important, I'll talk about how Filecoin is contributing to Web3 infrastructure. I'll then introduce a few products and tools that you can use in your hackathon. And also some case studies on why people have used IPFS and Filecoin, so you know the business behind it. I'll then talk about the future roadmaps. So overall, we are, as a human being, witnessing a great movement from a centralization of web technology to a more decentralized future, and to eventually to a distributed future. The current internet that we use, we rely on every day, is very centralized by design choices. IPv4, IPv6, DNS, internet service providers, and HTTP protocol that we use every day are all having this centralized design thinking. There's nothing wrong, including Tim Berners-Lee also claimed that the internet will be it will be a centralized thing because of the nature of TCP, IP, and HTTP protocols. There's nothing wrong with this design. It's just a design choice at the beginning. But because of this design choice, many organizations and platforms have accumulated a tremendous amount of power over time, and they're influencing a lot of our lives. So some of the centralized platform companies have access to our data via our social media profiles, and use this as the basis of their business model. It's designed to collect massive amount of data from users and being able to capitalize on those data. This lack of ownership and probability around that data is causing systematic failures. This shouldn't be this way, right? If you have systems that are centralized, all you need to do is just take down that centralized point, and the whole thing will fall apart. Companies have tried to decentralize their infrastructure, having point of presence everywhere, but the design is still very much following a authority within that decentralized world. We're seeing gradual movements to decentralization, and what people really want, people who believe in Web3, is a distributed future where users are empowered to provide services, where everything is unstoppable, censorship-free. They are open but private, and then you have verified data, and you have data that is not siloed to certain companies and certain organizations. So incoming Web3, everyone is building Web3 fiercely, and there is a lot of capital certainly flowing to Web3 space right now to fill the gap between innovation and implementation. So what is Web3? Exactly. One of the explanations that I enjoyed a lot is from Juan Benet, founder of IPFS and Protocol Labs. He said Web3 is a broad movement in a group of associated technologies and people aiming to make the web and the internet more decentralized, verifiable, and secure. This sentence is beautiful because Web3, there is, up till now, I don't think there is a strict definition of it, but it represents a group of people and then a group of technology that people are trying to make to work towards a single goal, that is decentralization of the future. So Web3, The other version that I have heard of Web3 that I really like, and this breaks down into different things, is that Web3 has three components to it. One is the physical and on the protocol level, it is going to be a distributed web. So it should work, should be designed to work offline. It should be faster, not slower. It should be safer, not less secure, and there should not be a central point of coordination for the distributed web, and there should be permanent links for contents online. The second part is about making sure that the computers and people have a trustless network to working. This is where blockchain comes in. Blockchain is able to provide publicly verifiable data. It encourages permissionless entry and exiting if anyone wants. Everyone is incentivized to do the right thing in the network. So you shouldn't worry about certain entities starting behaving as adversary to you. So you don't have to trust anyone for it. You can trust that the system itself is going to run by itself and in a good way. The last one is semantic web, and I think that this is very beautiful. It's about creating a graph of knowledge and making sure that the machines understand the meaning behind the data, so we don't have to repeat this information everywhere on the internet. So for example, I live in Melbourne, Australia, and Melbourne should be a single object on the internet as maybe a node of the knowledge graph. And then people can, if it is marked as a location, then people can do certain things with it. For example, navigating to it and getting interesting spots of this location. So that is concept of semantic web. So how is IPFS and Filecoin helping with this Web3 movement? IPFS provides a peer-to-peer protocol for internet to work on. As I said earlier, the protocol itself is centralized by design. And then Filecoin is aiming to provide infrastructure for the Web3. The applications that we use every day, Airbnb, Uber, and alike, they all run very hefty infrastructures right now. There's no way we can build a Web3, a truly decentralized internet, and allow developers to build internet scale applications without using a hefty infrastructure. And that is what Filecoin project intend to do. Exactly how, we will take a look at it. IPFS stands for Interplanetary File System. Apart from being the favorite acronym in Web3 that I know of, it is also a very good idea. It is very essential to Web3 because one of the most important functions of the computer system and the internet is file systems. If there's no way for computers to understand how to store files and retrieve them, it is going to pose a very big problem. So IPFS is a peer-to-peer protocol that intends to be the decentralized version of HTTP that will allow users or nodes to communicate with each other and transfer files between each other without using a centralized server in between. How does it do that? It is using peer-to-peer technology. The underlying technology, there's a few, but one of the most important one is libp2p, which allows the software to talk through many internet interfaces and then speak to each other as a cluster of computers and not talking to one single server and asking for information. So in this swarm of computers of IPFS nodes, you have folders and files, and these nodes will provide services to each other. They have a unique ID, so people know who they are. And then they use services from each other as well. The content on IPFS is able to be addressed based on its content and not its location, because we're trying to get rid of this location-based schema in IPFS. And then the cluster of computers will help each other to find the content on the network. It is fully distributed, no central server. It is quite resilient and is offline first design. So what that means is if you take a chunk of the computer, take a part of the network offline, they should still work within itself by itself until they're reconnected to the main cluster. Or if you take a single one out, it still works by itself. It just may not have access to certain peers in the network, will be less useful, but it should still work. So it really promotes resiliency. The most important part in IPFS, and I think it's one of the most valuable part, is the content addressing technology. In Web 2, we always type in a domain name, which gets translated to IP and port. But in IPFS, how computers find files is actually through the ID of the system, which is a hash digest of the whole file itself. This hash digest replaces the address-based location, and it basically is a fingerprint of the file, and then the computers within the network will talk to each other and see who has this file and serve that. So imagine if your computer has that file itself, visiting IPFS or visiting a website could be retrieving that file from your computer. And that's ultra fast because we know there's no latency, there's no network, there's no need for communication with external systems. Or if this file lies on your Wi-Fi network, so someone else's computer in your home, perhaps, this will be retrieved from there and not from a US server, for example. Or if the file in IPFS is located in the other side of the world, the system is able to broadcast messages and gossip with each other and find out where the content is, and eventually get through many, many hoops to find the content and then retrieve it for you. So it works very like BitTorrent, but it's made for the next generation applications, so made for real world applications out there. So the underlying stack for building IPFS is IPLD, interplanetary linked data, and libp2p. So libp2p also has a bounty in this hackathon. I encourage you to take a look at that. On top of libp2p, you can build many, many systems, not just a file system. And libp2p is trusted by Polkadot project and Ethereum. IPFS has gone through a tremendous growth since 2019. It had about only 800 contributors, now to about 11,000. The performance has improved a lot. It took 40 seconds to find files at the beginning, which is very slow. And in 2022, the gateway, I think the 95 percentile is a lot quicker. Now it's probably a little bit better than that. I think there was some optimization on routing that's been done. And if you're using a gateway that caches content for you, then it will be a lot faster than 400 milliseconds. We have now 5 browser integrations. Brave and Opera natively integrate with IPFS. So if you type in IPFS column / and then the CID on Brave or Opera, you can find the file or the website directly that way. And this is a future sort of we want. Monthly user increased to 50 million, and IPFS empowered apps are up to 1,000 now. It is a huge ecosystem of developers and builders out there using this protocol. We also have many gateway operators. I think there's the monthly request is over 1 billion. It is over these gateway requests. So there is a real demand for retrieving content from IPFS. There are many tooling you can use to interact with IPFS, including IPFS desktop client. I have that installed on my Mac, and I bring it up to store some files myself. There is a CLI tool that you can run and runs a daemon behind it. So it provides API interfaces, a web UI for you to visit on your browser and have that fine control over your node. And it's also able to provide some services that you need behind the scenes. You don't always have to install IPFS on your computer to use it. You can install it on the server, or you can pay someone to host it for you. So Pinata and Infura are 2 providers of private IPFS nodes that you can use to access the vast IPFS network. There are also implementations of IPFS in different languages, including some native OS environments, so you can embed the IPFS module inside of your application wherever you wanted to. This is great for decentralization of IPFS, because the more you can implement on your device, the more the more point of presence or nodes we have in the network. It's better for decentralization that way. There's a few things that's pretty exciting that's coming our way to make the lives of builder easier. One of them is Iron project, Iron.computer, and they are trying to make a very lightweight IPFS for mobile native devices. There is also content exchange improvements called Carpool, and IPFS debuted on Unreal Engine and Unity earlier last year to tap into the gaming development industry. There's also native integration of IPFS into tools like curl, FFmpeg, browsers, and more. A lot of things are very exciting. If you just search on Google IPFS implementation, you will find quite a few of them. There are a couple of sites for you to find more things, exciting things like that. We can't always keep track of what is happening in the ecosystem. Awesome.ipfs.io is a site that is hosted on IPFS, and then it showcases all of the projects that are using IPFS. Or if you did something really, really cool on IPFS, please feel free to submit your idea there and let other people know about how you use IPFS. There is also an official ecosystem site for you to look up which companies are having collaboration or using IPFS, and that's ecosystem.ipfs.tech. So hop on there and take a look once in a while. You might find something really cool. So now onto Filecoin. IPFS really provides a good ways for computers to talk to each other and store files in a very decentralized way. It might work across planets as well. But who is going to actually pay for the infrastructure, and who is going to build all the plumbing that it needs to connect different computers together, and who are going to pay for the computers, right? So Filecoin is established to solve this problem. It is designed in initial phase, designed to encourage a mass of hardwares to give this Web3 thing a kick at the beginning. So Filecoin is the largest decentralized storage network in the world. There are about 3,600 storage providers or node operators, some project calls it, around the world. And then it represents over 40 countries. This commitment from our storage providers are not just in terms of hardware investment, they also invest substantially monetarily or financially to ensure the network. So Filecoin has collateral system and slashing system. So the total pledged amount of coins are 147 million as of April this year. This is a huge financial commitment that people have put in to secure the network. Filecoin enables open services for data and adds an incentive layer to IPFS. This is kind of a global digital economy that we have started to help people to find data center services, help people who needs data center services and who has data center services to provide to them. It is a kind of a market for hard drives, like Airbnb. So if you have large amount of files that you need to store for a certain amount of time, you can make deals with people who own these private data centers around the world, and then make a deal with them. And then the Filecoin blockchain is able to keep track of to provide the underlying security behind it. It facilitates the storage deals. And then it ensures that all of the storage providers on the network is doing the right thing to protect clients' interests. That is, providing data storage reliably. It is a layer 1 project in the Web3 world. It is designed for storage, but it's not limited to storage. Filecoin's master plan always includes things that are not storage, because storage is the first step. It's not the last step we'll take. We're also interested in building a data retrieval network decentralized CDN services. So anything that gets stored into the Filecoin, we can retrieve it at a very fast speed, performance speed. And also we're interested in providing developers with dApp tools. So we have built Filecoin Virtual Machine that allows people to compute over Filecoin blockchain state. And then we are also wanting to get into the compute business as well. So Filecoin has projects that are focused on perfecting decentralized way of compute, especially over Filecoin nodes where the valuable data is stored. It's very expensive to move data around on the internet. There are some key benefits. Filecoin is compatible with Web3 protocols. We have built bridges with Near. And then now with the help of FEVM, we're building more interoperability integrations. So Filecoin is more nimble with other blockchains out there. We are also providing verifiable data. So a lot of data centers actually charge more money if you want to secure the data. So making sure that data is not tampered or lost or corrupt. Filecoin, thanks to IPFS design, can provide the verifiable data with no extra cost. Filecoin is secured by cryptographic proofs, and I will talk about a few primitives later in my presentation. And it is massive in size because it is designed so. Filecoin, from the economic design perspective, is encouraging enterprises to join the business. Filecoin algorithm. There are some details about Filecoin blockchain. So if you're interested in that, you can take a look at Filecoin specs. So if you search Filecoin spec, you'll be led to specification page, and that talks about all of these primitives in details and link to research papers and stuff like that. Feel free to dig deeper there. But for consensus, we are a probabilistic BFT, so something called an expected consensus. For proving, it is more like a proof of storage and plus proof of stake. So it's a combination of these two. We call them proof of space time and proof of replication. So the verification is primarily ZK snark. We use ZK snark to reduce the block time, to meet the block time, and also reduce the message size. Broadcast method is libp2p that I mentioned earlier. And some of the cryptographic primitives are Merkle tree or Merkle DAC for data integrity, vector commitment scheme, look it up for commitment, and then ECDSA, BLS two signature schema exist in Filecoin. And for randomness, we have decentralized randomness, DRAND or DRAND, for providing verifiable randomness. So Filecoin is also the largest deployed ZK snark network to date because of the infrastructure that our storage provider provides. We have some pretty amazing numbers there. Filecoin's crypto economics is very well designed. First of all, the Filecoin economy design is completely open source. So if you look up engineering Filecoin's economy paper written by ZX, or if you look up Crypto Econ Lab, you will find many research papers behind the decisions that they have made at the beginning. And it's very useful for many people who are interested in tokenomics out there. So Filecoin economy, if you think about that, is similar to an island economy. You have people who are amassing hardwares, pay for electricity and running off these data centers, and they interact with developers and researchers to make products and offerings to people outside of this island. And then inside of this island, everyone uses Filecoin as value exchange, and then outside we can exchange value with external parties. Fields are utility tokens. It is designed to purchase services that Filecoin Network provides or network participants provides. There will be only 2 billion Filecoins ever minted or issues. That equates to about 330 million minted each year. So over 30 years time, 97% of the Filecoins will be minted and issued. Filecoin has simple minting and baseline minting for block rewards. Baseline minting means that it encourages everyone in the network to increase their capacity. If everyone does that, the total power increases, and the rewards that we give to the participants or storage providers and other kind of service providers will increase in the future. There is a linear vesting concept. We do have in our Filecoin allocation, we have allocation for the investors, for Filecoin Foundation, for Protocol Labs to run. And there are also a mining reserve to encourage new services to be established on the network. But storage mining allocation is still the biggest in Filecoin coin allocation. So out of all the Filecoins that will be created, the storage providers will get most of it. There are concepts of deals and sectors, which I'll go through a little bit later. I also have another talk in about an hour about storage providing. And there's also a concept of collateral and slashing in Filecoin. If you're interested more, find primer to Filecoin circulating supply or engineering Filecoin's economy to find out the exact thinking behind it. Filecoin runs in a phase economy. So in stage 1, we encourage capacity and building up the network to handle, to be secure. So at first, a simple minting or a reward to the storage providers will be quite great to encourage them to onboard hardware. At this point, there might be very little quality services and there might be very little deal payments. So deals means people actually paying for storage provider services. And then for the second stage, in the middle of the economy, this should be turned around. So simple minting should reduce quite a bit. We're already seeing that first wave of storage providers reward is reducing quite a bit. And what we're encouraging them to do is to set up equipment and also build softwares to be able to provide services to clients and encourage real clients, real data clients to use these data center services. And in the stage 3, we should have very little block rewards for the storage providers and other kind of services providers, and they should be making money primarily from their for providing those services and making deals on the network. So we're kind of in stage 2, or between, like, about to step into stage 2 right now for the whole economy. The network growth has been a incredible story. In 2021, we only had about 1.6 EB, and now 17 EB. This number is actually including the this number is not the raw byte number. This is quality adjusted byte. So it looks a lot better than the actual, hardware spaces that we have. The number of providers went from 800 to 4,000. So I mentioned 3,600 earlier. That was 2022's figure. Now we have about 3,600 miner IDs out there. The pledged collateral went to 174, and now it's at $170 or so million. Maybe 140, I think. Yeah. The orgs that are built on Filecoin went up to more than 500. The storage size also increased. So the number of files, we call them content IDs, increased to 6 million. Unique providers went up. Storage deals, there's millions of storage deals every year. And then total data stored, I think, is up to about 700 petabyte or maybe even over 1 exabyte now. So either from the whole network capacity or from the data that's being stored on Filecoin, it is the largest in the world. So who are actually using these services right now, right? And why? So the reason why people use that is because Filecoin provides dramatically lower storage costs than traditional data centers. To store 1 petabyte of hard drive, it could cost you around $100,000 to $2,600,000 for a year in a data center, and that's just storing there, doing nothing. A petabyte of data will cost you that much. In Filecoin, it costs a lot less than that. So it's very attractive for people who has really large amount of data to store somewhere, and they don't need to immediately retrieve it. It also improves data availability because Filecoin's storage providers has many point of presence. You can store your data in many places rather than just one data center or one company's data center there. It also verifies the data storage for free. It's easier to meet regulatory requirements if you're dealing with a local data center that is in your region, that understand your region's laws, than say putting everything on a country that you're not familiar with, and they probably the country will probably have some pretty strict data import and export policies. And we're also very green chain. So there's a project called Filecoin Green that intends to make Filecoin start providing a carbon neutral business and maybe carbon negative at a certain time. So some of the feature clients are Internet Archive. There are a bunch of people who are preserving the internet. There's University of Utah, UC Berkeley, CERN, the science research institute in Europe. There's a few other Web3 customers as well. So OpenSea, Solana are all users of Filecoin systems. So different kinds of people use Filecoin. On the top, media companies uses Filecoin, and then production events, e-commerce, education, public data. There's a wide range of customer segment on Filecoin. If you want to find out more about Filecoin clients, I encourage you to go to Filecoin Explorer, and you can scan that QR code to visit filecoin-explorer.com. We will be constantly updating featured customers to this website, and there are some really useful case studies in case you want to dig a little bit deeper on why they have used Filecoin. The client growth is incredible. Storage client growth. So we're onboarding a vast amount of data on the internet every day. Since by April 2023, 1 million terabytes of data has been stored on Filecoin. And these are the number of unique storage clients we have is 1,500. And on some occasions, we can onboard about 1 petabytes of data per day. So how these data are onboarded is through deal making. So the whole Filecoin market revolves around storage deals. This is an overview of how it works. First of all, the client who wants to store some files will prepare the files for a friendly structure for Filecoin protocol. And then it will, along with the sort of file information and the deal information, it will make a deal, broadcast the deal to storage providers that they're interested in. Storage providers will negotiate and respond to these deal proposals. And then the ones who accepted the deals will then need to receive the files. Once they have received the files, they will be providing a proof of replication on the network. That's the first message they send to Filecoin blockchain. And then once that's being produced, they need to constantly provide proof of the space-time. So prove that they still have the file and the file is not destroyed or being tampered with. And then to the network constantly in order to get a block reward. Over time, as long as they can prove that they're still online and then they are still storing the file faithfully, they won't be slashed for their staking will not be slashed. Towards the end of the storage deal, the clients will need to renew the storage deal or let it expire. Letting it expire means that the storage providers no longer have obligations to store this. They won't get slashed for not providing a good storage service. They can recycle the sector for new files. One of the things that is key to Filecoin architecture are the concept of actors. Actors are the things that in the Filecoin software that will do things. So there are different actors for different purposes. There are reward actors that calculates the block rewards that someone deserves. And then there are minor actors that help with mining operations. There will be storage power calculators, actors, storage market actors, data cap actors, which are related to verified data. We give higher incentive for storage providers if they're doing actual storage of useful data to their clients, and verify registry actors. So there are quite a few of those. If you want to look into the deeper part of how exactly Filecoin interacts with its nodes and data clients and storage providers, I encourage you to take a look at the YouTube video and some of the documentation we have on Filecoin actors. But don't feel this is a completely strange thing in this hackathon. If you know what actors are, you'll have a good idea of how Filecoin protocol operates. Filecoin Virtual Machine is our way of opening up Filecoin blockchain to the vast developers out there. Filecoin Virtual Machine is built on WASM, and it intends to build many runtimes on top of it. And the first runtime that the project decided to do is the EVM, so the Ethereum Virtual Machine standard. So Filecoin now has Filecoin EVM deployed quite a few months now, and people are doing lots of DAC development on top of it. If you're interested in that, please scan the QR code and read more on FVM. Since launch in, I think it was April or May, we have quite a big interest on FVM. There are about 75,000 active FVM wallets out there. There is close to 1 million fields that are held by FVM-powered smart contracts, or actors, we call it. So there's quite a bit of a trust that people place in FVM that they can trust these smart contracts with their money. TVL is around 1.2 according to DeFi Llama, and there are about 937 unique smart contracts that have been deployed, and there are about hundreds of teams building on dApps. Filecoin ecosystem is definitely a lot busier after the launch of FVM. We also have built the interoperability integration with XLR and Kraken. There's quite a few Web3 partners that are building to us. If you're interested in the status of FVM and wanted to have a look at the details of how well it runs, scan the QR code and go to this FVM Explorer that Starboard Ventures has created for us. It's got the overall, it pulls all the data from Filecoin blockchain and then analyze it and give you all the insights in there. There is a Solidity library for Filecoin. It integrated with many of the actors that I mentioned earlier. You can use these actors directly in your Solidity contract if you import ZoneDex Filecoin Solidity. So take a look at that, and they've got some pretty good documentation too about these. There is also quite a few starter kits that the FVM developer experience team have created. I encourage you to take a look at the FEVM hard hat kit that's been created. It's a repo full of examples of how to interact with Filecoin through FVM. The development experience and the user experience should be pretty close to Ethereum. Filecoin is integrated with MetaMask as well. You can import testnet and then also connect mainnet. But for hackathon, probably you'll only be using the calibration testnet. And then the deployment experience, development experience should be pretty similar to Solidity developers on the EVM compatible chain. So Filecoin overall, the project has attracted many projects to build on top of that. And we're very interested in helping the teams to actually go through the funnel, get funding, get expertise from the project, from Protocol Labs, Filecoin Foundation, all of the people in the ecosystem. And then what we want them to do is actually use the IPFS and Filecoin technology, build their ventures and secure funding to build it even further. So we're working with 15 accelerators out there, and then help teams to raise tremendous amount of capital to push them forward. Filecoin and IPFS is a perfect combination because IPFS provides a fast, flexible retrieval with its scale-based local nodes. browser integration. And Filecoin is great for persisting and providing verifiability for data. So together, one has the protocol of doing for file system to go decentralized way, and then Filecoin provides the hardware infrastructure and the backup for all of its content. So on top of libp2p, RPLD, IPFS, you can build protocols like Filecoin, and I also encourage you to take these modules and combine it and build your own protocol if you have a really good idea on this. Also, a lot of people have turned this into a storage business model. So there are a lot of storage helpers out there, like Pinata that uses IPFS and NFT Web3 storage. They're charging for the Dropbox storage-like systems for users to use it, whether that's household users or developer users out there. So use the stack and build your project. I'll go through this really quickly. There are some products and tools you can use in your hackathon that will make you not only eligible for the prizes that we give out and some of our partners' prizes, but also if you use the right tools that can reduce your build time a lot and then allow you to focus on the important part of your project. You can go to Filecoin ecosystem page to take a look at some of those tools as well. But today I'm going to introduce to you NFT storage. NFT storage is a public good program. It is a NFT, basically a Dropbox for NFT for NFT projects out there. So if you're an NFT project, you can use it for free forever. It should work similarly to to Dropbox or Google Drive. It has a pretty awesome API that is able to handle large volume. And then the idea is that when you're minting NFT, use NFT storage for the asset storage, and then write the image URL or the asset URL as IPFS links and not a centralized version or HTTP links. Web3 storage is the same deal as NFT storage, except this is designed for general storage. So it's super easy to use Web3 storage. I've used its SDKs to do many things, including this photo booth that you can see on the right corner. This was for one of the conferences that happened in Lisbon last year, Web Summit. So the photo booth software was sending photos to a node application that I run on one of the cloud storage cloud platforms, and then it will interpret the APIs from the photo booth software to Web3 storage, and then pass back the IPFS link back to the photo booth software, and then the photo booth software will display a QR code that's got the IPFS link on it. Users can retrieve it from the phone, their favorite selfie from the phone. So it's ultra easy to integrate. I encourage you to use this in your project if you have some storage needs. IPFS is also great for deploying websites. So Fleek and Spheron are two businesses that have successfully integrated with IPFS and Filecoin. So if you just connect your GitHub repository or GitLab repository to Fleek and Spheron, and it is a website, they can pull it, crawl it, and then build it, constantly deploy it to IPFS for you. I think Spheron now also runs compute, so you can run backend on their network. Fleek might have similar plans as well, but take a look at their tools. I use them quite often for my demos. Filecoin data tools, specifically Estuary, are some tools that are really helpful if you want to hide the complexity of dealing with blockchain. So you can install a Estuary node or just use the cloud version of Estuary to interact with Filecoin. It allows you to run IPFS nodes very easily, so storage nodes, and then it builds all the integration with Filecoin market. So you can make storage deals by clicking through the interface or by sending some APIs. It will automatically orchestrate the deal making behind the scenes and replicate your data for 6 times, and then make those storage deals with storage providers out there. So take a look at Filecoin data tools, especially S3, to see how this can simplify your project. Who and why are people using Filecoin? One of the examples, so first of all, why will people join a storage provider business, right? So CO Storage is one of the storage provider in Europe. A lot of people join this because they think this is the future of the internet. And then Filecoin has a really good economic design, so they it is a business, so they can get profit out of operating. In the early days, you can just bring hard drives online to join Filecoin Network and get paid for it, and that's a viable business for a lot of people. But as you know, the Filecoin economy has certain stages, so later on they will have to start providing real storages. So a lot of them are in with this journey and then are very committed. So CERN, CO Storage is one of them. And it is CO Storage, thanks to them, we were able to land a partnership with Atlas Experiments, which is storing CERN valuable scientific research data for CERN. So this is the example of why Filecoin has a stronger proposition than really large cloud platforms out there, because we are working with small businesses essentially, and small businesses are best to understand their local customers' needs. So CERN is one great example, and CO Storage. New York City open data is also stored on Filecoin these days. So public data sets are perfect for Filecoin to store because we're designed to hold enterprise level data. So whole data center, you can migrate to Filecoin, and then we're designed to last for as long as possible through crypto economic incentives, and also having so many people joining us, and then permissionless entry and exit, and also replication technologies that we have. There are many governments that are storing open data on Filecoin. For medical and research purposes, Filecoin is also very important because we have this verifiable data. The research industry really requires solid, untampered data that they can trust. So Genray is one company that's based in Austin. They are putting human genome sequencing data on Filecoin, and yeah, their progress is amazing. So getting close to the end of my presentation, I'll introduce you a few things to look forward to in this hackathon or beyond this hackathon. So one of them is retrieval market. So I mentioned how amazing Filecoin's storage network is. To get the data out is a different kind of story. So if you want to retrieve data and read the content very quickly on the internet, people often rely on this thing called CDN, content delivery network, or content it's CDN, so content delivery network, content distribution network. So to do a content distribution network or delivery network in a decentralized way presents many challenges. It's easy to do it if you're a centralized company, but it's very hard to do it in a decentralized way. Retrieval.market was the project program that got set up to encourage projects like Saturn and Titan network to be built. These are our approaches to building decentralized CDN, and Saturn and Titan are both will be integrated into Filecoin. So in the future, you could see that people joining CDN businesses maybe in your city to provide content from IPFS and Filecoin, and they might get paid for providing such activity, or developers will pay them to provide those to speed up the content delivery. Bacayao is the project that I mentioned earlier that tends to do heavy computing, so building up a computing network in a decentralized way and encourage intensive processes to run on storage nodes. So for example, if Filecoin is storing a lot of video data in really high resolution, then Bacayao is made perfectly for people who wants to decode these videos into different resolutions to serve on different devices. Moving these really vast amount of data to elsewhere to perform decoding and transcoding these things is a nightmare because the egress cost will be tremendous. And Filecoin is also updating its consensus algorithm. The next one is going to be called interplanetary consensus, and it is next frontier in blockchain scalability. So I'll talk a little bit more about that later. So retrieval market, if you're interested in that, and then Saturn Network is the one that's being launched. Please take a look at that. I believe Saturn also has a prize pool of 5,000 for this hackathon. So take a look at their dev tools out there and see if you want to build a project related to decentralized CDN. Bacalhau is compute over data. Scan this QR code, take a look at that. They got some really awesome demos on generative AI and batch computing of really compute intensive jobs. It's step by step. They go through everything for you. Yeah, so take a look and hopefully use it in your project. And this is IPC. IPC also has a prize pool. I'm not exactly sure what kind of dev tools might be there. So, but take a look at the price description and see if you would like to do something with this new consensus that we're actively developing. So if you're more interested in the bigger picture of how Filecoin is doing, what I have said is just the beginning. You can read some industry reports. So some are produced by Filecoin Foundation. Messari has done a report on Filecoin. They have a quarterly report on Filecoin economy, and CoinGecko has published State of Decentralized Storage that largely talk about Filecoin in their report. So you can also talk to me directly if you have questions. I would love to answer your questions on East Global Discord channel, or DM me, please. I don't turn my DM off. Yeah, feel free to ask me a question. I may not know everything, but I'm well connected within Filecoin and Protocol Labs teams. I will direct your question to the right person for you. So that's all from me. I think I might I'll see if there are some questions here.
Yeah, there was one question about linking to the economic resources.
Oh, economic resources. Yeah, really simple. Filecoin economy engineering. Google it. We're still Googling these days. So you'd be led straight to the PDF, which gives you a higher overview of how things were designed for. But the one that is Crypto Econ Lab is the website that you need to go to read all of the researches. So I'm gonna pop it into the chat, and this Filecoin economy resource over here. Yeah. So with Crypto Econ Lab, ZX is lead in this organization. Really amazing team there. Best in the business. And they have produced many resources. So if you want to look at maybe, let's see, like technical reports, I think they have done some researches on how FEM is going to impact Filecoin's economy. Yeah, they have all these things. So consensus scaling, IPC, if you want to read more papers on that. And they seem to have done some researches on fee mechanisms. These are really like good public good for rest of the industry, because anyone can come and see how they think and have done the work and the math, the arithmetic behind things, and then you can replicate it to other projects and take parts that will benefit you to use. So yeah, so it's pretty good. Take a look.
Cheers. Thank you. We've got a few more minutes until the next workshop. So thank you everybody for joining, and thanks Jenks. And yeah, he'll be having another workshop in about 7 minutes. So see y'all again soon.